Welcome to Madame Raven's. This way to the library. She's been expecting you.
It looks like we got a double on that one. Sorry. It also should have shown over top of the background, but it didn't. Lesson learned. Looks like we got a double on that one. Sorry. There we go. I just got feedback from the live stream. Okay. Good morning. Sorry, I sound so croaky. I am getting over a sinus infection that is just affecting my voice. So we deal. How is everyone today? I'm afraid these live streams might be going on for a while if you like them or not. Sorry. Just till I get caught up, which will probably be a month since I've also got a audiobook to do, which I'm very excited about. Lucian, thank you so much. Oh, you've left. I'm the only one. Oh, that's what I get for going away for a month. If there is a better time to do these live streams, let me know. I'm just doing them at the time I usually put out my videos, but if in the later afternoon that works better for you guys, let me know in the comments, because, it would be fun to have more people here, but I know not everybody could be here at the same time. So leave a comment and tell me what time you would like it to be, and I will see what I can work out. Today we have some poems from CorpseChild and some stories by, Rude Project 19. So we will do it. I've got, a lot of material, wonderful material from people. So we will dig into it. Sorry about the music. I wanted some kind in the background, and they only had two choices unless I go professional with the equipment, and then they give me more choices. So we'll see how this goes. I might, if this is going to be a long time thing. Anyway. Oh, yay. CorpseChild is here. Wonderful. We are starting with you. All right. The sorrow of the moon child. In the pale night glow, the daemon child of the moon sits and fervently ponders. Why, oh, why, sweet mother, be this my only fate, to live only as the bane of fiends born of hate? He shuddered at the memory of the curse by which he is led, driven to lament those that have, by his own hand, bled. Whence the gibbous moon is thus again revealed. The daemon child looks up and sheds a stinging tear, and knows his fate is sealed. Through agony his gentle body breaks, and his mind is addle and feral. Please, sweet mother, I beg of you, deliver me from this peril. By no ear will his pleas sympathize. To no purpose are his merciful outcries. And all too soon, the child succumbs to the whims of the moon. Now only blood will sate his corrupt lust, caring no longer if his be or be not just. Only by the risen dawn will his ferocity be spent. Only through the sight of a broken and mangled victim may he lament. In a cave, in a dark grotto, he will retreat and give in to his crushing sorrow. By what malign summons, by what will has forced, let me try that one again. By what will was he forced to answer this accursed boon? In his heart he knows the only will of the sweet Mother Moon. CorpseChild, you do so wonderful with these poems, and I love the form. It's not a popular one, but I just adore poetry. There's just so much more passion and feeling in it, it seems. Okay, the next one by CorpseChild. Decay, an elegy. I gaze into my reflection in the ancient mirror with despair. My body, once great and fair, now none shall quality remain. I feel across my withering flesh with grave disdain. As it travels from my rotted, pus-ridden eye, my lungs too far gone to produce even a sigh. I peer from my shadowy hideaway, stares from each passerby. Everything will say, my soul has long perished, and yet to this broken and dying shell I am languished. As the pelt that was formerly my body peels and is shed, I can only wonder, why am I not blissfully dead? There's a nightmare for you. One that's been covered before, but so frightening to think that we would feel everything that after we die. Okay, let's see. We're going to go up, and we have a few stories by Project 9. Let's see. That one is a bit longer. I might keep that one for another day. And I did CorpseChild's Witch of the Old Willow, which was wonderful. Okay, Rude Project 9, Something Strange on Halloween. It was Halloween, and I was sitting at the couch watching my favorite cartoon. I had a bowl of cereal, and I had the heat turned up. My parents were out, so it felt perfect. I liked being to myself. People saw me as antisocial, but it was just my brain. I had a strong aversion to being around people for too long. My parents told me to make sure I answered the door, though, since they weren't going to be leaving a bowl of candy outside. Last year, it got stolen within the first hour. Typical. I saw the sun starting to set outside. I knew people would be running up to the door any time now, and I had to run to the store and grab some candy. My parents had rushed out and had forgotten to grab the candy the night before. I grabbed the keys while groaning, slipped on a jacket, and turned the knob to the door. The store wasn't far. It was about a 10-minute walk from my house. Walking there, I had my headphones on and my head down, so I didn't notice anything out of the ordinary until I approached the store. I walked up to the store. The lights were on, but no one seemed to be inside. I was baffled. I couldn't understand why the store owner would leave the store empty. I called out to see if anyone was perhaps just in the back, but I received no answer. It was too quiet. I wandered around the store for about 5 minutes before concluding that it was truly empty. I walked out stunned at the fact that the store owner would abandon his store like that on a whim. I walked back home. this time with my headphones off. The whole neighborhood, in fact, seemed to be empty and had no one on the streets. On Halloween of all nights, there was not one person in sight. This had to be some kind of joke. Except I wasn't in on it. I started jogging around the neighborhood, searching familiar spots that I visited. I first spotted the park I used to frequent to see if anyone would be hanging around there. Usually people were. No one was there. Next, I jogged to the cemetery. An odd choice, but trust me, in my neighborhood, people were odd. It was empty as usual. I crept around, making sure to explore any crevices I might have missed. I don't know where else to go at this point. I hardly left the house, but from the looks of it, no one was in this neighborhood. I saw some of the same neighbors' doors left wide open with the lights still on. That was a huge red flag. I went up to the Jeffersons, who lived right across from us. Their door was slightly ajar. I knocked on it and yelled, "Mr. and Mrs. Jefferson, are you home?" No answer. This was strange. They had decorations outside. Usually they were the most involved people on Halloween night, handing out candy while outside and greeting people while sitting on their porch. This was truly out of the ordinary. I decided to walk inside since no one else was around. I had nothing to lose. Upon walking in, I saw a startled sigh. Everything, and I mean everything in their house was gone. It was empty from top to bottom, as if nothing ever existed there. Not like someone came and took everything out, but as if nothing was ever there in the first place. I walked around the empty house, swiveling my head around with my jaw wide open. The house seemed 10 times bigger now that nothing was in there. After a while, I finally left. It had been about halfway into the night at this point. I see no sign of life still. The strangest thing is the more I explore, the more things seem out of the ordinary. Things seem like they are slowly disappearing. From furniture in the house to people not being here, to traffic lights not being in the roads anymore. The anomalies are getting bigger and bigger and harder to not notice. Of course, it hardly matters since I'm the only person here anyway. I'm not sure if this is a bad dream or if I'm stuck in a bad hallucination or what I did to deserve this, but please, I beg of you, whoever is out there, a higher power, God, the universe, whatever, help me. Seems like the tests are running perfectly. He believes he's in a dystopian world that has no one left in it. We'll have to keep running these tests to see how he responds, though. It's far too dangerous for him to ever wake up. Humanity would be doomed. Better to keep him docile, in a state of, well, this. Dr. Roswell looked up from the screen at Dr. Starlet. She gave him a reassuring look. Don't worry, Dr. Roswell. We won't have a repeat of what happened back then. It would be disastrous. Luckily, we were able to subdue him and get him safely here. The world is a much better place for it. If he thinks people do still exist, then that might be problematic. We had to change his belief system. Dr. Roswell looked back at the screen. He knew this was slightly immoral, but if he were to ever wake up, humanity would face a threat far worse than any war. He sighed, shut off the lights, and packed up his things. He got ready to head home to his family. Excuse me. They were waiting for him. So quoth this raven. Yeah, a bit. Oh, artificial realities. Would we want to live in them? That's an interesting subject. Probably not in some nightmare creation to keep us to believe that we're the only people on Earth. But yeah, I could see in the future people escaping to virtual realities. I imagine they'll tap right into our brain and not program. Well, they may program. I don't know how they'll do it, but it will be interesting. Okay, we have another poem by CorpseChild, Voices in the Hall. Trust nothing you see and only half of what you hear. Edgar Allan Poe. 'Tis upon a grim dusk that upon a large manor you may wish to enter, seeking shelter from the bitter, unforgiving winter. All through the aged house, no creature or critters are stirring, not a squeak, a titter, or even a whirring. But let not your eyes nor your ears be deceived, for this house bears more than what you may first perceive. Across the dark, limitable hall, you may hear a beautiful siren call. It may come as pleas for help, perhaps even as a painful yelp. It may come as a beautiful psalm, beckoning you forth as a warm, tender balm. Could it be a friend? Is it family? Even a secret lover? The voice now becomes softer. Come, come, tread to the door at the end of the hall. Come, come, look not to the hanging wall. You might then trot forth, evaluating the siren for its truthful worth. But from deep within, a morbid curiosity swells, wishing to know the secret of which the siren foretells. Do you peek? From down the shadowy end, you hear the siren speak again. Come, come, heed my boon. Come, come, look not to the walls, lest your soul be taken too soon. Do you listen? Do you obey? Or do you decide to wander astray? Do you pay credence to the siren's ominous words? Or do you begin to doubt that which you have heard? Why should you heed? Why do you let it lead? Perhaps you feel that it could be all a charade, a hoax, a demented masquerade. Sorry, should be charade and masquerade. I'm sorry, CorpseChild. See, I could edit this out, but we're doing the live stream. What lies mounted upon these ancient, pitch-dark walls? What malignancy does the siren recall? Come, come, before it's too late. Come, come, lest you succumb to their damning fate. Now you stop. A creeping chill you will feel down your spine drop. Do you stay or do you wander? Will you perhaps falter? Are you brave? Do you perhaps think that the walls might hide some treasures you'd seek to save? Will you succumb to fright, fleeing the hall like a bird in hastening flight? You want to turn your head to avert your gaze. Then come again the siren's words with their hypnotic phrase. Come, come, only a little closer. Come, come, soon the trouble will be over. You are nearly to the end. But you feel your focus, your determination start to bend. You just want to look, just a peek, to see what would be so prophetically hideous to seek. What's that you now hear? The sound of wailing, as if in sorrow or fear. From where does it originate? Is it from what hides behind this door, lying in wait? No, not from the door, but from the wall. They cry out mournful hymns of the hapless souls that have fallen prey to the siren's call. Do you look? Do you perhaps believe your ears to be mistook? Be this reality or illusion? Will you lose yourself in a torrential sea of confusion? You are reaching your limit, overwhelmed by the anguish that cries elicit. You will now want to flee, yet the voices in the hall continue beckoning you to stay and see. Once more you'll hear the siren's call. Hail, come, come to the door. You must come without fail. Come, come, before they will have you. Now the hymns sound from the left too. They call you to divert from the door, wailing so loud it be nigh impossible to ignore. They will sense your strength and determination waning. You can feel your sanity straining. Louder and louder they proclaim, stray from the door, lest you should suffer the same. What do you do? Where will you turn? To which voice will you decide to be concerned? Will you choose to continue on to the door? Or will you choose the voices from the walls to explore? You become deathly weary, wishing only for your ordeal to end, yet for endless miles the halls to extend. They cry out yet louder in your ears, despicking the siren behind the door to be your greatest fears. Depicting, thank you. Now, will you want to comply? Before you even realize it, you start averting your nervous eye. Thus the secrets of the walls that once were hidden in darkness are now revealed. You're horrified at what you see, knowing your fate is now sealed. What you see will be so hideous that words do not accurately depict. You cannot even scream, for your breathing will be far too heavily restrained. You might have before believed that scenes such as this were only perverse fantasy, though now you stand froze before such an abominable blasphemy. You might now think to run, hoping that your grave error might be undone. Your reason betrays you, however, for there is now nothing that can save you from joining the anguish damned forever. Your mind and soul will crumble before your very eyes, witnessing the source of the multitudinous cries. You will see acts of vile, abhorrent rites, of the most wicked, vicious murders performed with malicious delight, of cruel avarice and adultery, of indestructible debauchery. For all of this you now see, you will then understand to be of the very desolation of man. The limitless atrocities from many lifetimes they will span. You may want to rush to the door, only to despair, unable to see it anymore. Will you then cry? Maybe you'll wish only that you could die. Do you wish you'd pay credence to the siren? May that have caused you less to frighten? You may well feel your own body slowly unravel, for it is now forfeit to them to travel, wielding your name and face. They are now free to continue in their disgrace. You will now forever exist, as I have now for ages, only in their places in the wall, watching eternally as others fall prey to the voices in the hall. Oh, wonderful. I hope you do get that published. That is wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm glad, you really do wonderful poetry. Let's see here. Another short story by Rude Project 9. Let's see. Let's try a book with a twist ending. I was at a dusty, deliberating bus bus stop, waiting to go home after an extremely long day. It was busy at work, and I had dealt with enough customers to make me go nuts. Honestly, I just needed some rest. I was alone at this stop, so at least I had that going for me. I couldn't stand small talk with people who wanted to engage in it with me, despite my desire to be alone. Luckily for me, there was no one around for miles. After what seemed like an hour, I started getting restless. It was eerily empty at this bus stop, and even though I preferred it to be this way, it still sent a shiver down my spine. Plus, the bus had been late twice. I was starting to get anxious. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a shaggy man approach. I got ready to split at a second's notice if he showed any signs of suspicious activity. He did not look trustworthy, and I wasn't in the mood for any altercations of any kind. I wondered why he was the only sign of life here after all this time. He sped up while directly looking at me, and I decided this was not the place to be. So I sprung to my feet and spun around to head in the other direction when I was shocked to see him standing right in front of my face. I jumped and yelped, "Dude, what the heck is your problem?" He simply stared. He shoved a book into my hands. "This is your problem now," he grunted, and he jumped into the road. I glanced at the book and back up to see no sign of him. That was odd. He must have been some missionary or just some deranged psycho. Honestly, they weren't all that different anyway. I scanned through the book. It had nothing in there. Wow, what a freak. This book was empty, and he handed it to me like he needed it off his hands or something. I decided to toss it in the trash. I went back to sitting down when I felt a sharp thump on my head. Ow! I looked to see the book right at my feet. It was like it fell straight from the sky. I looked around to see if anyone had maybe picked it up and played a prank on me by tossing at me. No one in sight. I got back up and trudged over to the trash can while grumbling. I placed it all the way at the bottom of the trash, underneath the bag, so no one would get any bright ideas again. I wasn't in the mood for any of this. I looked around and saw no one in my line of sight, so it seemed like I was in the clear. I placed my head in my lap and closed my eyelids. I was unbelievably exhausted. I just wanted to rest at this point. That's when I felt a sharp thud again. I opened my eyes to see the book on the floor resting at my feet. Feeling stunned, I reached down to grab it. I flipped through it to see words forming as I read it. It was writing the exact thing that had happened right at that very moment. It read, looking down at the book, he read the page in confusion. He couldn't understand how this was even happening. It was writing itself as he read the words on the pages. I was officially freaked out, but being of the curious person I am, I decided to test a hypothesis that was coming to mind. I pulled out a pen from my pocket, and I started writing on the blank page. I wrote, "Waiting at the bus stop, he looked up and saw a bus finally arriving after his long wait." I doubted this would work at all, but I had nothing to lose. It was more of a joke than anything. Placing the pen back in my pocket, I sighed and realized how dumb of an idea this really was. I didn't even know what I was thinking. This book, this book must have some invisible ink or something that revealed itself under certain circumstances as a trick. I placed my head back in my lap. That's when I heard a screech and the unmistakable sound of a bus coming to a halt. I sat there in amazement. I got on the bus and stared at the bus driver. He glared back with an arched eyebrow, as if annoyed at me while giving me the eye. Arriving home, I walked inside, placing the book on my dresser. I wasn't sure, but I was certain that whatever I wrote in this book would come true. The next morning, I woke up, I brushed my teeth, headed downstairs, ate some breakfast, and went back upstairs to check the book to see if anything new had happened. I was ready to write my destiny in this book. I opened it, but this time something was drastically different. This was nothing like yesterday. The book was filled with words. Every single page had words on it, all the way to the end. I scanned through it. My heart dropped when I realized what the book contained. It had my entire life written on those pages, from beginning to end. I probably should have stopped reading, but curiosity killed the cat. The last page is what terrified me the most. So quotes this raven. Oh, fun. If it's gothic horror you enjoy, may perchance a read of my 4-part horror story called The Black Rock Chapel Horror. Yeah. I agree, Stuart. Yeah. I got me a nice cultist robe that I wore for Halloween. That was fun. Yes. Definitely a scarlet robe. It wasn't scarlet, but yeah. Well, I don't know how popular these will be. Only 3 people showed up, but hopefully more will listen later. I am going to stop it there. And if there's also another day that you would like the live stream on, I'll work that to my schedule. Give me a time. Some days are crazy. Tuesdays are actually crazy. I got to cook for 12 people every Tuesday and Thursday, which is kind of crazy. But anyway, there was another choice. Oh, do you want me to have a guest on? We could both read something. I could see about that as well. That might be a little fun. Let me know what you think. If you have any more ideas on these things, let me know. And thank you for listening. I do very much appreciate it. And there will be the second part of The Golden Sovereign coming out on Thursday. And yeah, thank you all for listening. Thank you to those who came out. And we'll tweak this. We'll make it work. I did manage to not click my tongue when I messed up. And that's a good thing. So anyway, I appreciate you all. And especially, oh, here it comes. Especially, my Patreons and my members and all of you who come to listen to me. So have a absolutely marvelous Tuesday, guys. Thank you so kindly for stopping by my chateau, my darlings. It does mean so much to me. Please, if you have not subscribed, as many of you have not, please do so. Give me a like so I know what you would like to hear. And comment. I always love to read your comments. And special thanks to my Patreon and membership supporters. Ciao, darlings.